Okay, this is our Degas Horse 1 video, and today we're going to be drawing this part of a drawing by Degas, who was an Impressionist painter, and it's from this drawing of 3 jockeys on horses that he made, and I've sliced it into just one, and we have a format that's similar to the front of our Leonardo horse, and so we're going to measure this box and then start drawing against the box. We're talking a lot in class and in these homework assignments about how important it is to measure relative to whatever else is on the page. And so we're going to start, because this is a copy of something that's already two-dimensional, we're going to start with measuring against the edge of this box. We're going to transfer this size of the box to the piece of paper. So we're going to measure it. It is 3.5 by 9. Okay. And today I have a sketchbook that's bound at the top because I'm going to try to demonstrate how to do this from that kind of sketchbook. So this is 9 across. I'm going to find the middle, which is 4.5. Okay. And then I'm going to measure from, I don't have a perforation here in the sketchbook, so I'm going to measure from the bottom of this loop in the sketchbook. And let's see, I've got 11.5. So that's going to put me at 5 3/4, which is going to be right here. So this is the center of my paper. And half of, let's see, now I forgot. Okay. Yeah, this is 3.5. So that means that I'm going to be at 1 3/4 is the halfway point of 3.5. So I'm going to mark the 0 and the 3. I'm going to mark the center of my paper up here. And mark it the 0 and the 3.5. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm telling you I'm doing something different than I am. Okay, so 4.5 is the center. Then I'm going to mark the 0 and the 3.5. Okay, so this gives me 3 lines to mark against, and the reason I want 3 is because if one of them is wrong, 2 of them are probably going to be right, so that way I can tell if I have one wrong. If it's off out here somewhere, I can say, well, it's different than the other 2. Okay, and then the vertical distance is 9, so I'm going to mark 9 here in the middle, 0 and 9. I'm going to measure again. Let's see, I want 5 3/4, 5 3/4. Okay, and then I'm going to measure 9 off of both of these. And there are other ways to center a box on a piece of paper, but this is how I've been showing you to do it, so I'm trying to be consistent, and hopefully this will be helpful to you. But if there's another way that makes more sense to you, feel free to do that. Okay, I'm going to erase the construction lines outside. Some of the stuff in the middle. It might be helpful to know where the center of the box is. I don't know. So I have it centered this way and this way, and I've looked at the orientation of the rectangle that's on this piece of paper that I'm trying to copy, and it's vertical. So I should not, for example, turn my paper this way and then, even though this is 9, make a 9-inch long box on a horizontal piece of paper. I should orient it the same as what it already is. Okay, I'm also going to fold this. Some of you have already been doing this, but this helps this image get closer to this image and make a comparison more easily. So if you've been doing that, good. If not, maybe it will help you. I'm going to start out by sharpening my pencil. I'm starting with an H pencil. And here, similar to some lines in Leonardo horse, we actually see construction lines that were made by Degas. So he has thought it was helpful to make these lines to show the relationships between where the legs and the knees and everything were. So, and the, in the rump of the horse. So we can measure these. like 1 1/16. So I can mark those 1 1/16. So here's one of the construction lines that he has in here. And then this is 2 1/16. And I don't have to do this, but I think because some of you are beginners, it's going to help you just to have something closer to measure against. Okay, this is a hair less than 1/4 inch. So I got 3 vertical lines here that I've been given. And they're visible in the final sketch. Okay, now I want to start to think about what is close. This is the ear of the other horse. I've shown you the whole drawing down here, so I couldn't get everything in here and keep this ear completely out. So we don't need to draw this ear, but we want to think about where are things in relationship to. I can use this to kind of measure right across if that's helpful. I want to think about how far in relationship to this construction line that I just made is the rump of the horse. I want to think about this shape. A little further down, it comes just past the construction line, and this is a whole stroke that Degas has made. And I'm trying to think of like, where are my intersection points that are going to be easy for me to identify. So he didn't finish the bottom of this horse's hoof. I wonder if it was in the dust or something and he wanted to make that effect. So I'm going to think about how far up and how far over. This hoof is closer to this construction line. So I'm going to look at what it's already close to. I don't want to go a far distance if I don't need to. And if you notice, I started up here and then I came down here. I'm working all over the drawing because if I just go from this part out, which I could do, it's going to make it so that everything is relative to this area. And this way, if I do multiple points, I can measure them against each other as I bring them together. Okay, so I'm just going to lay out this ankle of the horse here. And I've got an ellipse on the bottom of the horse's hoof. Okay, and then up here, this is right on this construction line. And you see how I brought this whole thing together by starting from 2 different points. Okay, here's the back of the horse. We've got a skinny lower leg. This isn't quite right. I'm not going to bother to erase yet. And there's a structure to this horse's leg, right? There are bones underneath here and a straightness. Even though these lines are curved, it still reflects the rigid structure of the horse's bone structure. So my drawing shouldn't appear to be overly wiggly. Okay, I've got something wrong here. Okay, this is down here. See, and now I'm able to double check because I came from 2 directions and that helped me check my accuracy. And I don't don't want to use a lot of pressure because I want to be able to do exactly that. I want to be able to erase everything. So some of you guys are still working on this, still working on don't press too hard, which is critical here in copying and drawing, because this is not, I'm not entirely making my own decisions about where these lines are going to go. I'm copying Degas. Okay, I'm going to go with that for now. I've got a tail here, and I'm looking at where is this tail in relationship to this construction line, because that's going to make it easier for me. He's got two lines here that come together. I'll go back and do that with a darker pencil. Okay, so here's the tail. Okay, so I have most of the back here. Oh, I've got this front leg. Okay, there are two front legs, but they're very close together, and one on either side of this back leg. So I like that. Okay, I might need to refine these lines a little bit when I get in here and actually make these strokes. So I'm making a drawing that is basically creating a boundary line for when I go back in with a darker pencil and make the rest of this. And of course, Degas feels this really intense structure in his mind that he's able to communicate on the paper, which is what makes him such a master and so wonderful to look at. Okay, I want to think about where the head ends. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up and down at the same time. So, all right, here's his ear and his hat. Okay, he doesn't have any collar across the back here, so I'm just gonna go down. I've got not enough space for his arm and everything. Okay. I made his torso too short. Okay, here's an ear. Okay. This is going to continue up here. We've got this really strong scoop of a line there. Since this line is in here, I'm going to draw it. I'm constantly flicking my eyes back and forth. Is it the same? Is it the same? Is it the same? He's got this foreshortening captured really nicely in the jockey's foot. And this is evidence of somebody who has just observed this very thing over and over and over again. Degas was fascinated by capturing motion. So he's famous a little bit for horses, but he's most famous for his ballet dancers. Okay, that captures it a little bit better. I usually sit down, but I'm actually standing so that I can see this a little bit better. Okay. There's something about like the slope here that I don't have quite right, but I think that's kind of close. Okay. So now I've got my construction of this drawing in here, and I want to look at the strokes that Degas has made. I'm going to see what a 3B does, because these are pretty dark. I'm going to try 5B. 5B needs to be sharpened. Okay, so Degas has this freshness and this surety about the way he makes his mark that I'm trying to learn from as I do this. And it seems like he used just what we're doing, a lighter pencil, and then went over and really picked out the parts of the drawing that were most what he wanted. And we want to think about line weight here. So is it a thick line? Is it a thin line? And I'm sort of turning my pencil accordingly, but my pencil pressure is determined somewhat by this. I'm counting the lines. So I've got one line inside of that main line. And the information that I have about this drawing says that it's pencil. So he's drawing with the very thing that I have in my hand. Stroke that maybe he went over extra down here. I'm trying to imitate that shape. I'm learning something about the way Degas sees the horse. Okay, it's a little thicker here, and then thick, continuous line. Need to sharpen my pencil soon, but because I'm turning it a little bit to imitate these marks, I don't want a completely sharp pencil on all sides, so I'm like turning this a little bit as I go. I'm feeling the pencil. You cannot do this with a mechanical pencil. And I find that this is actually a little bit like darker and thicker here, so I'm going to use my 6B. 6B feels a little bit more like that dark, constantly looking back and forth. I'm glancing at this drawing that I'm making, but then I'm really staring at Degas' drawing. Okay, I'm going back to my 5B. Okay. Wrong pencil. I'm still in here with my dark pencil making these lines. I'm going to use really light pressure with the 6B for this part of the tail. That's kind of what I think it is. Okay. I've got some shading here. This is not scribbling, okay? He is moving his pencil back and forth, but he is not drawing in two directions. You can only control your pencil in one direction, and he's making these lines that actually help to define the shape of the horse. You can see these lines are going vertically and help define this motion, this downward motion that this horse is, gravity is putting on this horse. Okay, I've got another mark here that I haven't included yet. Okay, and then these seem to be made with a darker pencil. They are more trying to show a darker shadow. This horse probably had mud on its hooves and Degas tries to show us a little bit of that here. All right, I'm not sure I have this shape right, quite right. Switching to an HB. Okay, the lines change direction right here and show a little bit the change of direction of the horse's leg. Okay. these extraneous lines actually add some of that motion, as if this horse is walking away from us instead of just standing there. And this is very, very practiced, very accomplished drawing to give it that feeling. And we're learning from him a little bit and how he did that. Okay, I want to get back from it. I want to look at my value structure overall one last time. Think about where are the darkest darks. Do my shapes read as well as Degas do as a result of the lines that I've made? Okay, and I look forward to seeing your drawings. See you guys next time.